So what happens when you're doing all the right things, but you still don't lose weight? We've all had that happen before, haven't we? Now, before we jump into this, I just want to say quickly, 99% of the time, the reason that you haven't lost weight is because you've overconsumed calories. Like, I really cannot be any more black and white with that. You are not in a calorie deficit, and that means that the calories going into your mouth are higher than the amount of calories that you have burnt. Game over. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Now, I've done heaps of content on that already. So this is for the 1% of situations where you are actually in a weekly calorie deficit, but still see a small gain or only a small loss when you're expecting a big one. Now, for starters, for any newbies out there, let's get clear on what is actually realistic, sustainable weight loss. I've been doing this for a while, and the numbers I always come back to are 0.4 to 0.8 a week. Do that, and you can lose 10 to 20 kilos in 6 months or 20 to 40 kilos in 12 months. Now, while that might seem a little bit underwhelming compared to all the internet sensation quick fixes and what they're promising, these are numbers that I've found that are realistic targets for sustainable long-term weight loss while enjoying a dinner out with your partner, going to a birthday party, a social event, or basically just living life in general without having to give up all the things that you actually like to do. Now, can you lose more than that? Absolutely, but it is not something that I recommend to do consistently because often it will lead to over restriction and either throwing in the towel or binge eating somewhere in the near future, completely defeating the purpose. Now, let's just say you've done all the right things. You are in a calorie deficit, but come weigh-in day, which I also know you're only doing once a week because anything more than that is psycho stuff. So you've gained half a kilo. What could have possibly gone wrong? Now, in my experience, it is usually one of 4 things. Number 1 is you've been in a calorie deficit all week but overconsumed calories on a Friday, say family dinner, and then you weighed in on a Sunday morning. When you go from a calorie deficit to a surplus, a few things happen inside of your body and you can gain up to about 1.5 kilos for a female and maybe 2.5 kilos for a male overnight, depending on a few different factors. In this situation, do not stress, it is generally just water weight from replenished glycogen or stored carbohydrates in the body. Now, with this example, the weight gain will only hang around for about 48 hours if you're doing all the right things. So let's say that you ate pizza on Wednesday night and the weight was up on Sunday, then this rule does not apply here. Once again, it's highly likely that you overconsumed calories throughout the week. So what do you do if this happens? Nothing. Don't punish yourself. Don't try and go for a 2-hour walk or do a crazy workout. Just get back to the things that you know you need to be doing. And if it truly was 1,000 extra calories on one day, then you will be rewarded with a big loss the next week. Now, number 2 is similar to number 1, that you actually stayed in a deficit the whole time, but perhaps you ate a large amount of sodium the night before. Think sushi with bulk soy sauce, maybe a really salty pizza, but you still came under those calories. Sodium can make you retain water temporarily if levels change in either direction quickly. This effect will only last about a day, so drink water normally, do all the things you need to know to be doing, and you'll be sweet in 24 hours. It is not body fat. Do not stress. Move on. Number 3 is maybe you absolutely smash yourself at the gym a day or 2 before. Think like can't walk kind of pain. And it must be a big muscle group like legs or back or both. Like a few shoulder presses or bicep curls are not going to cause that kind of effect. Like this kind of inflammation can definitely affect the weight on a scale for a day or so. So once again, keep on keeping on. Don't stress. It is not body fat. And then number 4 is just directed towards the ladies. Maybe it is that time of the month. But here is a double-edged sword as well. Usually, weight gain from that time of the month is because of lack of dealing with emotions and eating a small child's body weight of dairy milk. In that case, sorry, you've overconsumed calories and that weight could very well be body fat. But if you manage to keep it together this month, then it's likely that the scale could rise for a couple of days at a certain part in your cycle. And to understand how this works, you're going to have to track your nutrition consistently and accurately, because then you'll be able to spot the fluctuations and when they affect you in relation to your cycle. So let's recap. The 4 main things that can cause temporary weight gain when you actually are still in a calorie deficit are: number 1, over-consuming calories 1 to 2 days before you weigh in. Number 2 is over-consuming sodium 1 day before you weigh in. Number 3 is a crazy amount of inflammation from some kind of brutal workout within the last 2 days. Or number 4 is a female cycle. Or it could also be a combination of all of the above, as 1 and 2 will normally tie in with each other, as a lot of the times when we overconsume calories, that also comes with a high sodium content as well. Make sure that your scales are also in the same spot and you're weighing at the same time in the same clothes, because different scales will vary, but what's important is you use the same one, as it is just a comparator. Now, with any of these cases, do not stress. It is not body fat. It's a temporary gain. There is no need to feel guilty. There is no need to change what you are doing. Just keep on keeping on. And if you've actually done the right thing, then next week's weigh-in will be spot on. If the following week's weigh-in is not a loss, then you have definitely not been tracking your nutrition as consistently or accurately as you thought. Over a 14-day period, 2-week period, a calorie deficit will result in a measurable weight loss 100% of the time. No, seriously. Like 100% of the time. And if you're still arguing with me or yourself at that point, that is a completely different discussion that we need to have. And I've also made a video on that as well. So holla, and hopefully I can shed some light on that for you as well. Now, please let me know if you found this helpful, or tag a friend that maybe they can benefit from knowing this next time they're going to get into a fight with a set of scales.